Welcome back, everybody. I hope you are enjoying this little series of lessons digging into how to start playing jazz at the drum set. This is a big love of mine and something I've spent a long time studying and working at. And so I think that this is a way that I've come across that we can build into playing a lot of the grooves and comping, which we're going to talk about today, and solos of the masters. And it comes from maybe simplifying a little bit, but really just listening to as many great drummers as you can in a deep way as soon as you can. So that's why we've been doing all this playing along with the great Jimmy Cobb on Miles Davis's track Freddie Freeloader. So make sure that you're putting in the time, playing along, and especially listening. Just listening without playing is really, really important, just to hear, the way that his ride cymbal sounds, the way his snare drum, his bass drum, his hi-hat, and just the whole sound of the instrument together, because it's definitely a different sort of combination of just everything, especially if you're mainly just used to listening to rock and roll music or other stuff like that. So, do not underestimate the value of just, putting on a pair of headphones, closing your eyes, and listening deeply to all this stuff with nothing else going on. Okay, so today we're going to give you something that Jimmy Cobb does on this track, Freddie Freeloader, and he involves this, we've been neglecting our left hand a little bit. And so first thing we're going to do is talk a little bit about the cross stick technique. And so this means that instead of just playing an open snare drum stroke, beat of the stick in the dead center of the drum to get a nice dry sound, we're going to take the same sort of shape in our hand, but now we need to think about putting I guess kind of the palm or the butt of our hand, I guess if that's what that's called, onto the actual snare drum head, and we're going to be making a stroke with that muting the head itself. All right, so I have my wrist and my hand there. I'm going to let my fingers sort of flop out a little bit. I'm still holding on between my thumb, and I guess that's like the first joint of my index finger, because that needs to hold on to be able to strike the rim while the back part of the stick is on the head. Take a little bit of time and experiment with that sound. Remember, you got to let your hand rest on the drum to dry things out a little bit. And actually, the back of the stick is on the head as well. So it's like you have this hinge going on, clack, 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 and then you want to hit sort of with the meaty part of your stick on the rim a little bit down there. So if you can move things around, try to get a good, clean, dry sound. If you have it too far out near the other rim, all you hear is rim. If you have it too far in the middle of the head, that's okay. Oh, hear how it just really dried up and became nice and clear. The butt of my stick is probably about, I don't know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches from the opposite rim. Cool. So play around with that sound. It's like you're just moving your stick on the head like a hinge. Clack, clack, clack. Try to get that nice dry sound. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that cross stick sound on beat 4. So a lot of the groove that Jimmy Cobb is playing throughout the head or the melody of Freddie Freeloader incorporates this exact same thing. So listen to it a little bit. I'm going to play my ride cymbal beat just in quarter notes, then quarter notes with a 2 and 4 accent, then with the different skip beat variations. See if you can identify how that sounds together. All right, here we go. Just listen. 1, 2, 3, and... Okay, so went through all those different variations. So that's about what it should sound like. So go ahead and pause the video, try those out a little bit. Let's just jam a little bit right now. Well, I guess we don't need to pause. Let's play it together, all right? So cross stick on beat 4. Let's play, I don't know, maybe about 8 bars a time, just with even quarter notes. Remember, no accent on 2 and 4 right now. We're going to be really clear and just make these choices as we go, all right? Here we go. Bass drum is walking. Feather that beater, maybe just a couple inches off the head, and the hi-hat is on 2 and 4. Here we go. Cross stick on beat 4. Even quarter notes. 1, 2, ready, and... put that 2 and 4 accent on the ride cymbal. Keep everything else the same. 8 bars. 1, 2, ready, and... Okay, add in that skip beat. 1, 2, ready, and... Skip beat just on beat 2, regular accent on beat 4. 1, 2, ready, and... Bet you know what's coming next. Move that skip beat to beat 4, just regular accent on beat 2. 1, 2, 8 bars, go. Ah, I made a mistake there. I bet you didn't though, so we're fine. Okay, so these are all different options that you're probably going to want to spend quite a bit of time working on. Like just doing 8 bars, that does not cut it. And so I am going to recommend each of those different variations. Just having your cross stick on beat 4 is probably worth like a full 10 minutes going along playing with Freddy Freeloader. You know, you got to get your hands and feet talking to each other, having a good, steady relationship. If one of them is sort of pushing and pulling and trying to inflict some new things, that means you got to, you know, do it without the backing track, slow it down, maybe leave some of your limbs out. All right, so that's something. Pause the video, do some individual practice, play through Freddy Freeloader, gosh, like 6 times. An hour, you'll be much better for it. Your swing feel will develop quite a bit. Listen to how that lines up with what Jimmy Cobb is doing. I'm going to give us one more variation, you know, go off and do that for an hour or so, that you can add in if all of this is feeling nice and comfortable. This is a cool thing. This is called a bongo beat. So bongos, if you have never seen them, or actually, I mean, this beat itself is actually a little bit more related to a jazz beat that you might play on the conga drums. So there's 2 drums. One of them is about yay big. One of them is a little bit bigger. But oftentimes you would have a high-pitched slap on beat 2 and 4. 1, bop, boom, boom. And then you have an after beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on either the open drum, the same sort of sound, or on another drum. And so we're going to translate that from being like 1, 2, 3. Still going to have that same sort of triplet-y swing, but we're going to go have our cross stick on beat 2 now, and then we're going to put the high tom on 4. It's going to sound like this, just on its own. 1, 2, 3, and 1. We could go through the other ride cymbal variations as well. But it just fills in the sound. It's a fun thing you hear a lot of drummers doing. There's a great album I would probably recommend checking out by an organ player named Jimmy Smith. You're going to hear this groove all over it. The name of the album is Back at the Chicken Shack. So a lot of funky organ soul, and yeah, you're really going to enjoy the drumming that happens on there. All right, so that's called the bongo beat. So take a little bit of time, dig into the different variations that we have with the ride cymbal, the cross stick on beat 4, and then maybe getting a sense of how to put that bongo beat in there as well. All right, happy practicing. See you next time.